9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, Def Con 1.
Once upon a time, there was a little trader. He had power, the power to see through the virgins. He understood his mission, his goal, his journey. This little trader has his goal set on turning pennies into bag loads of nickels. Come and join this little trader's journey. Like, right now, we are about to be live. Seriously.
Welcome guys, here's FundedCoffee at GDT ThinkDifferentTrading with another London Open. The London Open starts in 40 seconds and then we will see. We trade here divergence. That means we look through that 4 indices that I'm trading here, the NAS, the Dow, the SPY and the DAX, and we see who's the strongest, who's the weakest, who's following and so on. Some may know my system, which I use on Forex Factory, or which I shared on Forex Factory. I'm using that in a similar way, just with slightly different settings on my scalping nowadays, because I noticed how well it does. Here we see currently that we are in an uptrend, but just barely. We could switch anytime, and that we might use as a bias, but we don't need it necessarily. It just gives us some type of direction. You can also see through the moving average the divergence a bit better, and yeah, you will notice right now what we see a big divergence here on the DAX. We are going far down on the DAX while the others are still staying close or near the London Open, so that's already an interesting thing to notice, which might mean that we go actually up instead of down, as that three indices here are not willing to go down as far as the DAX, and you see now a big push up as predicted, but we can't trade just yet. I usually don't trade the first 1 or 2 candles because I really want to see some type of divergence. Now what we see is that DAX, even though we're going up on the other indices, that it's going down. So we need to pay attention, especially to the DAX, what it does, because it might mean that our true trend is down and not up, as it's rejecting here on the POL, which means pre-open London session. I won't go too much into detail here what it does and what it means. It's for the mentoring. You just need to know it's an important level. Now we might be able to get a short here, as all the other indices are flipping bearish, with the DAX being the leading one. But I really first want to see that 1 minute candle here flips bearish, and then I will enter. As we got a nice rejection here, you see the moving average also slowly turning bearish here. So on that flip of that candle, we will likely get a nice bearish signal, which would further confirm our move down. But of course we also want to see the other indices here, the NAS and the SPY, to also further confirm that move down. So we have to wait a tiny bit, but right now it looks pretty good. Sadly we couldn't get it right here, so now we have to wait a bit. Sadly, because of that spike, we couldn't just enter instantly, so now we have to wait a bit. Very unfortunate. We might still be able to enter, so no need to hurry. The NAS is giving already a signal now. Sadly for me it's now a bit too far. I need to wait a tiny bit before it can take a trade. I need some type of pullback here. I'll take a position right here, and I believe it's a decent spot to take something. My initial target will be around here. I will put my trade to break even here and see how far it can go. The position is moving very nicely. But the problem here is now we need to focus on the DAX, since it's the leading index here. It's getting a bit sluggish here, but I hope we can get just one more push. That's what I hope for. Hopefully to get that wick fill, but here on the 50-minute chart, that's what I'm hoping for and go for. Worst case, we get out break even and search for a new opportunity. The moving average can help you here. For the divergence, as you saw here, the Dow gave you first the signal, and the SPY also gave you the signal. I will close the trade here for almost 1%. Maybe too early. I'm not sure here. It feels rather sluggish right now, but it might go. It might, yeah, okay. That sucks. Should have held it. Currently the market is very difficult to trade, so it's difficult for me to trust the market to actually move. So I took it a bit earlier here. Which is fine. I'd rather have that 1% than nothing. Right now it seems like it was stupid to close it here instead of actually waiting for the target. But again, the market was very, very difficult so far. I had always break-even trades in the last almost 2 weeks just because the market couldn't go at all because there was no momentum. And that's why it's very difficult for me currently to trust the market. And that's why I took profits earlier than anticipated here for the initial target. But in normal cases, you should hold till here. Now we see that we flip on the moving average here as well. On the 15-minute chart on all indices. And so it confirms our bearish bias. So we could look for another opportunity to go short on a pullback and a new entry signal. But you can also see nicely on the angle of the moving average, it can show you who is the leading one. And if you notice, the DAX is by far one who is the lowest here with the moving average, just looking at the moving average here, if you compare it. So we know that the DAX is leading currently for the short side. We are still bearish here, despite that here. But that's a huge push off that support, if you notice here. A big push from the support. Here you also see a semaphore, or I'm not sure how to pronounce it in English. Or a type of fractal. It means we are kind of overextended and we've broken some significant low, even on the 15-minute time frame here. So it might mean, so it's another indication that we get a bigger pullback, which we exactly got right here. And here you see all indices printed such a semaphore or fractal or whatever, and we got that small pullback. It doesn't mean that we're turning bullish, it just means that it's likely that we get some type of pullback as we got now. I personally don't see that. I call it no fractals because it's easier for me to pronounce. It's better to see that fractals as more of a type of indication for pullbacks instead of thinking about it as a reversal potential, because again, those fractal sprints, when we break a low, it's normally a confirmation that we want to go lower, or that the trend is confirmed. So I don't see it as a sign of reversal. I just see it as a sign that we might get a potential pullback. And here we had a great example of that. We are still bearish based on the moving average. We are still below London Open. We are still overall very bearish. Also on the 1 minute chart, based on the moving average. We get a nice new signal here. For me, it's too late to enter here. The signal is a bit too late. If it was on that candle, initial candle, I would take a short scalp here, so I have a better risk to your reward. But right now, if I enter here, my stop loss would be here. Then I would not need to hold for a significant amount just to get one-to-one risk to reward. So I personally don't enter right now, because that's not my type of entry that I take. For example, here I took just a one-to-one, but for me it's important that there's a potential there. For example, the potential was all the way to go here. And if you look at the 50-minute chart, we had the potential, or I still have the potential, to go all the way down to that support here. So there was a lot of potential there. That's important for me. I don't need to get everything from, I just want the potential to be there. So now we're getting a bit sluggish. If you notice, the candles which are currently forming are rather slow, which is a good indication that we might just put a range right about here. Of course, it doesn't mean that we have to. We might also break out right now and continue with our bearish bias. But for now, it seems like we are rather sluggish, which means that I don't want to take a trade, even though it looks rather good here currently with the arrow and that bar, that candle here. But if you pay attention to the other indices, there's not a lot of momentum going on here for a London Open. So it's better for me to just wait. The sluggishness might mean that we get a retest, might mean that we just break, of course, here. If you would use the VMA candle, you would probably notice that here right now would have been a line, a VMA line, and now on the break around here or here you would probably see a VMA candle for a breakout confirmation trade. I personally don't use right now the VMA candle on the charts, because I kind of know by now, since I've traded it for some time, I know how the VMA candle and VMA lane form and when they form, so I don't have to have them on my chart, especially when scalping. So I prefer to have a cleaner chart, so I don't have them right now on my template for the scalping, since I want a very clean chart. For swing trading, I of course still use it, because it's a bit different on swing trading with Forex. It's much more difficult to identify the momentum, because we don't have, first of all, the type of London Open in that way we have it on indices. There's not as much liquidity and volume coming in the market on Forex during London and New York Open compared to the indices, because in stocks and indices it has way more significance, because only then the stocks open. For example, in London, the European stocks open, like the DAX and FTSE. So all European banks putting orders in, manage their orders, and so on and so on. So that's why we have a very consistent money flow in here and consistent volatility most of the time. In Forex is always open 24/7. Even so we can't trade on the weekend, it's still moving. So it has less significance there. So now as you notice, even so we had the error here, we didn't take a trade, thankfully, as we are going currently up. Why we didn't take the trade? Again, because of what the other indices are doing and the divergence, which told us that we might likely range. And even so we kind of broke here. We didn't break on a strong candle, which also further confirms the sluggishness of the market. And that's what we get as a result. As I said, about here is a range. So what we would maybe like to see is a London retest and then another entry through such a signal here, signal arrow, for more confluence. But till then, I personally don't want to take a trade. We still see that the moving average here is bearish, even despite the pullback. So even if we get an up arrow here, we are not really interested in it, since we have the confirmed downtrend through our sessions and through the 50-minute chart moving average. So there's for us no reason to take a long here because it's too risky. So now we just wait to see if we can get a bearish setup, and then we will take it potentially. We just need to, of course, still pay attention to the divergence. Without the divergence, we don't know how strong the momentum is, and that's the real important aspect of my scalping. The template here with the moving average is just helping me to see divergence and to help me get an entry. And the main part is still just for me the divergence. Anyway, what I also wanted to say, I think I started and then started talking about something else. The entry point can also give you a nice indication who's leading and who's diverging from it. So what we see here, the Dow made an entry point right here on that rejection of the POL. SPY had a similar, we didn't just quite reach the POL, but we still rejected from here and got the arrow. Now the DAX already got it instantly without any rejection here, right on the London Open, which means here that it's a very good indication that the DAX is leading, just based on the signal. And then we have the NAS as following. Why? We look at the arrow. We only got it after rejection, after another rejection, and then the push down. So we have here the confirmation that we are going down based on that signal. So normally what I do is then you would take the NAS actually instead of the Dow, because here you got the latest signal. And the best way to trade, what I do, is to take the latest indice. Why? Because only then you have really a confirmation of where the market is going to go based on the latest indices that confirms the move on the other indices. So then you know with a high probability that you get momentum, and a small momentum push, as we see exactly here. But as the NAS only officially opens during New York Open, on my broker I have a higher spread. Here you see the spread on that little lines on the candle, and here's the Dow. It has tighter spread, so I took the trade instead of the As I took the trade on the Dow because I have a tighter spread here. Just for the theory part, you would take the NAS as it's a proper setup. I just took the proper setup on the Dow because of the spread. So again, we have an entry error here. We have the exit, the official exit based on my setup right here. But I took it earlier again. The exit error here is just really if you want to hold a trade for a long time, only then you would take the cross for an exit. I personally, when scalping, I most of the time exit the trade much earlier because I just want the momentum push and not the whole trend. Why? Because it's just higher win rate for me, and for me it's difficult to hold. I'm not a good trader that is able to hold his trades. So that's why I'm here on the 1 minute chart, because I'm not as good on holding trades. So anyway, now we get a pullback, we get a long entry here, we see a nice rejection, but for us that's not a trade. As previously said, the 15-minute chart is the moving average and the sessions showing us signs that we want to be only bearish. We only want bearish signals, so there's no trade for me. Even so, based on what we see, it might be there's a very high chance that we might test the London Open for a retest, but I'd rather wait for the retest and then an entry for the short side with the confirmation of our moving average. We also see now the DAX already retesting the London Open and rejecting, which doesn't help for the other indices to retest the London Open, so we might fall short here, which then is again an indication for more downwards momentum. Thank you, Aaron. Happy to hear that. And thanks for being here. So yeah, the DAX is showing us a nice weak rejection on the 15-minute chart right now, which further confirms the downward momentum. And we could consider taking a short on a new signal to the downside. But for me it's getting a bit late to take any additional trades. I usually only really take trades during the first 20 to 30 minutes during the open, depending on how the market is moving. And we see kind of sluggish momentum here. So I personally won't likely take anything. But I'm just waiting a few minutes to see if we can get a signal. Hi Nourish, yeah, you're welcome, man. I hope I can give my experience to you guys and more information. Maybe it will help. I'm sure it will help. Most of my stuff is for free, as you know. and you're more than welcome to ask anything in the Telegram or in the YouTube stream. That's why I've started this all to begin with, because I want to help other traders who are new to trading or who are struggling with trading. And yeah, so it means a lot that you guys are here. Now we see some type of double top here on the retest of the DAX. Could give us another entry here. But again, sluggish market. Now you see how the moving average is coming closer and closer to the price, which is a sign that we might turn bearish here any moment. And now we're getting the signal for the bearish side. Might be a signal that you would like to take. Again, I'm not taking it anymore. I'm happy with what I got, and I'm not 100% sure on the current momentum of the market, so I won't take it anymore. But it's a decent try once the candle closes with an entry signal still there. Again, always wait for the candle to close. Only then the entry signals are confirmed. They do not repaint or recalculate or anything like that. They only do while the candle is still forming. Yeah, I feel that, Narish. The emotional part is always the most difficult in trading. The strategy and everything else is just secondary. The reason why most traders are losing are because of the emotional problems that you face during your trades or before you take a trade. Depending on the person, it happens before and then they hesitate too long to take something. And for some people, it's after taking the trade, and once they're in profit, they get nervous. And no one is perfect. I also have the problem in swing trading that I'm getting rather nervous, let's say, about my position, because I'm not good at holding trades. But what's important is really to write down a journal with your setup and what you want to look for to really give you confidence of what you're doing, and you need to know why you're doing it. If you just write down when you take a setup, that's not enough to give yourself confidence holding that trade. You need to write down why the setup you're taking is the setup you're taking. Why is it so good? What makes it a better setup than other setups? And then you really need to start during the trade, to even write down, maybe just on Telegram chat, maybe in our Telegram chat, or just a private journal, like how do you feel right now when you're inside the trade. Because only when you're talking about that type of emotions that you face during the trade, you can actually analyze yourself and improve what you're doing. But it's already a very good steps that you're taking. You already see the problems that you're facing when you're entering a trade, and you don't see the problem with the market. And instead, you know that you are the problem and not the market. Also, what you could consider is that you might want to trail your stop loss more instead of taking profit, maybe. That might also help you. So if you notice that you're getting nervous holding your trades, you might want to put your stop loss into profits. Like, I don't know, it's difficult to say now where you want to or how you want to trail the stop loss. It depends a lot on you and where you feel then comfortable with. But that might help you to just calm down your emotions, because you know you will be in profits even if it goes up again. I personally wouldn't recommend taking partials, and instead just focus on moving your stop loss, trailing your stop loss. Yeah, man, that happens. In the last 2 weeks, you know how many break-evens I had when scalping, and then they went and hit my profit target. It's just, sometimes the market conditions are just like that, and you can't do anything. In the past 2 weeks, I've probably had 10 break-even trades and no winners at all. It's the first winner that I had in about 2 weeks scalping, because the market environment is just very difficult on the open. Well, I had winners yesterday, of course, but still, like officially on the streams, I had like 10 break-evens and nothing else. But important just to keep on going till you get that trade, you know. You don't need many trades to be in profit to make a lot of money. Just one trade a week that gives you 1 or 2% or even less. If you can make consistently 1.5% a week, that will make you very rich very fast because of the compounding factor. About risk to reward, it's very difficult to tell. It depends a lot on when do you start getting nervous, for example. Are you getting nervous already when you're 1-to-1? Or do you start getting nervous 1-to-2? And then it also depends on your win rate, how often you win and lose. You get nervous at entry. Okay, that's difficult. Maybe you're taking it first a bit less risk till you get actually confidence, till you get confident in your type of setup that you're taking. You might take too much risk, so you're getting nervous because you don't want to lose that type of money. If you're trading on a live account, I suggest just start with the smallest lot size, and when you grow confident, then you just increase steadily and slowly your lot size. Alright. I won't repeat, I promise. Nah man, it's normal, man. I also did the same thing when I first started. See, that's great. But you might still risk too much, you know? Considering that you're now almost more than double your account. Yeah, because your size is also automatically increasing, like your risk. Because from 500, with trading with 500 gives you a different type of risk you're taking than with 1,300. It's a different type of money. For example, me trading with a 200,000 account is 1% is then already 2,000. It means when I'm just slightly into negatives, already have minus 500. Yeah, exactly, because you're getting nervous. You want to give the market less freedom, and that's why you're getting more break-evens, which is fine if you make it if you do it consistently and then hold your trade when it actually goes. But it just again depends a lot on how you trade. Especially in Forex, you often need to give the market a bit more space to move, because there's not a lot of momentum going on in Forex. That's why I'm scalping indices and not Forex currencies. Yeah, as Aaron said, everyone goes through that phase. You're not alone, buddy. Just start slower. Remember, trading is not a sprint, it's a marathon. Here on the chart you see a nice entry here on the short side. Again, you had here a short signal and here a short signal. There could be both in profits, or let's say maybe you here break even and here you get a nice signal. All across the other indices you have it too. Together with the moving average on the 15-minute chart as confirmation. And it's now going rather nicely. Yeah, you probably do a type of like combination of risking too much and moving your stop loss a bit too fast. But of course you need to see it yourself. How many times do you get stopped out and then it hits your profit target? But again, that's because you're risking too much. You get nervous because there's too much money on the line for you. If you would only trade a euro, for example, trade, I don't think you would be that nervous and put your stop to break even that fast. I'm not saying that you need to start with €1, but you might want to just start smaller again. Maybe you had a streak of losses in the past, and then now you get nervous because you are afraid of losing. So now you're trying to protect as much as possible your capital. Maybe because you're thinking, hope I don't blow that account up. So now you're being very protective and overprotective about your account. So it's better to, instead of making this to be a habit, which might already start to be a habit, you want to break the habit before it starts being a habit. And that by maybe trying to reduce your risk, so you're not getting as nervous. Anyway, I will end the stream here. You're more than welcome to continue the talk in Telegram chat, and I'm there for you. But I will end the stream now, so it doesn't go too long. So yeah, see you guys, and thank you for joining. Bye bye.